Your attendance here tonight is vital to a healthy political process. That's why, by the end of the evening, we hope you'll come away with a greater knowledge of the candidates and their positions on issues that make a more informed decision when you cast your ballots. I'd like to thank the candidates for joining us this evening and introduce our two mayoral candidates, Mahmoud Muhaddin, Mo, and Chip Wilson.
Howdy.
Now, it's my privilege to introduce our moderator for tonight's forum. Ward Nichols is a fifth-generation native Arizonan to the East Valley. He has been a business entrepreneur most of his life and has built a solid business, several of his businesses, built and sold, sorry. In 2002, Ward was asked to run for the Arizona House of Representatives and was honored to win and serve the people of Arizona until 2010 when he was termed out from serving. While serving in the legislature, Ward chaired the Rules Committee and had several bills signed by Governors Napolitano and Brewer. Wanting to get back to his family and business, Ward chose not to run for Arizona Senate and left public service. Since leaving elected office, Ward has built and sold another business and currently works for ASU, running the East Valley Office of Government and Community Engagement. He loves working with elected officials in the business community of the East Valley on behalf of ASU. He's been married to Paula for 30 years and they have 3 children. Please welcome Ward Nichols.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you so much for all of you being here this evening. It's very important to participate in the process and find out what candidates stand on so you can make an educated decision when you go to the polls. And so I apologize, I'm going to have my back to you probably most of the evening looking at the cameras, but I know you're there and I'm sure we'll hear you, so thank you again for being here. So good evening, and thank you all for participating. I would like to thank all the candidates for joining us tonight during this busy election year, and it is busy. I know you've been out pounding up signs and hitting the campaign trail, and it can be quite taxing. The Chamber and its partners have made every effort to assure tonight's forum will be neutral, balanced, and provide each candidate an equal opportunity for expression of views, resulting in an evening we trust that is both informative and lively. Tonight's questions have been compiled by the Apache Junction, Chamber of Commerce, member businesses, and community partners that address issues impacting Apache Junction and the business community. In answering, we ask that candidates provide a brief and succinct response so that the maximum number of questions may be asked. Now, I would like to outline the format and rules for tonight's forum. Earlier this evening, candidates drew numbers and they picked the order that they are seated right now. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement to use as they wish. Candidates will have a maximum of 2 minutes to respond to each question and will be allowed 1 minute for rebuttal. At the end of the question and answer series, each candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement, and that will be given in the reverse order that we started tonight with opening statements. To ensure fairness and equal opportunity for expression of views and positions, response times will be electronically monitored. Finally, to ensure a fair and nonpartisan forum and for the purpose of our live broadcast, we ask that the audience remain respectful during the forum. Outburst, displaying of signs, comments, and any type of disruptive behavior during the forum will not be allowed. Anyone who engages in these activities will be asked to leave. Now, let's get started with the program. Are you ready? All right. Mr. Wilson, I'd like you to begin with your opening statement, and at Mr. Wilson's request, I will refer to Mr. Wilson as Chip through the rest of the forum. Chip.
Thank you. Well, I want to keep the city moving forward in a controlled aspect on it. One of the things I wanted to do is making sure that we have the ability to support what is needed for this growth that's coming in. We want to protect our views. We want to protect the large lot area of our community, protect and preserve the open space in and around our community, and definitely maintain our small feel of our community that everyone so much loves of our community. And we want to maintain our rural character. Where else can you have someone riding through the Burger King with their morning cup of coffee on horseback. And I want to be able to keep that and maintain that. Well, I want to control the growth. Control the growth so it meets the needs of the community and the general plan. One of the things that we need to make sure is that we are going to continue the growth in a controlled mechanism, and that growth pays for its way. We want to work with the Parks and Rec, and one of the things that we're looking at very much now is establishing additional trails going on down south to the growth to the south, but also have some additional trailheads we're looking into right now where we can put them. And so I just see I got 30 seconds to go. So again, I want to control our destiny and keep it moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. Mr. Mohudeen, who has also been requested to call Mo, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you very much. I own a small business in Apache Junction, started a few years ago, back in 2006. And since then, I've been doing the community service and work with the community. I love that community. Otherwise, I have several chances to sell the business and move away, but I decide to stay here. Why we stay over here? Because it's a small town feeling. People are friendly, personally get to know each other, and they work together and help each other. And we see several times the people just get together and help the families out and all that stuff. That's what I like, because I grew up in a small town. Now I'm over here. My goal is working with the community and be a bridge between the community and the city and make sure that any issue or any problem comes up that we can discuss and solve the problem for the community. That is called the community service. And growth is Apache Junction is going to go on approved back in 2020, and then control growth is, I agreed with that. But what attraction we have? They say this, we are the Western town, we are the Western heritage, we have horses, we have a community, the people love that. But how we can attract the tourism to stay in Apache Junction? They all go to tortilla flats, they go to all the other locations. We created the hitching post. Right now, people coming over all over the world. If I get elected, my goal is we have to put some horse signs all around. And then we see at the Wickenburg, they have all kind of horse statues and all that stuff to beautify our town. The people have attraction to coming in and bring small businesses. That small businesses is 96% of the small businesses is carrying the United States on their shoulder. They pay taxes and all that stuff, and that would help the community and the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now we will begin with the question and answer portion. We will begin the question with Mo. Mo, what are the top 2 priorities you would like to see accomplished during your term, and how will these priorities further the long-term sustainability and economic growth of Apache Junction as it ties into your future vision for the city?
Wonderful question. You guys see there's a lot of places that are empty in all that location. We don't have any mom-and-pop shops, very few of them. For example, in restaurant business, you have maybe 3 or 4 restaurants, people going outside of the city, spending the money in other cities and other towns. That generates the tax dollars for the city. We need to bring the more mom-and-pop businesses. We need to work with those people that want to come in and work with the city of Apache Junction and the public to be a bridge between it to make their process easy. They can generate some more tax dollars for the city. We have the permits, we have this, but it's the quick bucks we are making. And we need to change in this town a little bit more friendlier, bring more businesses, and the people will attract the people, more people over here. People coming Apache Junction because that's the safest town in Arizona right now, the one the people moving from the other states. But how we can keep those people? For the long run solution that you guys have is what people need, what people want. We need to talk to the public. We need to go out and ask the public, or have every month have town hall meetings. Ask the people what they're looking for. That's what I want to do, have a town hall meeting with the public, ask them what their necessities are, what they're looking for, what generate the revenue, can bring generate more tax dollar for the city of Apache Junctions. That is our sales tax is paid everybody's salary and everybody's work on it. That's what we are looking for. Bringing the new homes, that's absolutely wonderful, but what is create this one, just a permit fee, another fee, that's not a long-term solution. We need a long-term solution to how we can solve the more strength, strong community, more tax dollar, and the city will be thriving.
Thank you, Mo. Same question, Chip. Would you like me to repeat or?
Please.
Okay. What are the top 2 priorities you would like to see accomplished during your term, and how will these priorities further the long-term sustainability and economic growth of Apache Junction as it ties into your future vision for the city?
Okay, yes. Work with this development that's going to the south in our community. Number one, we need to work with them in developing it, and also working the abilities to bring in business to the area that will help sustain that area as well. One of the things that we want to do is, like I mentioned before, is the trail system, and working with the Parks and Rec and tie this development to the south into the rest of the trails of our community. It is an opportunity to be very friendly, and it also is very, I'm going to say, exciting in the aspect on it for the ability of the people to get out and go out from their homes and go out on the trails, whether it's a bike or hiking, including even horses, but there won't be horses down there. Have the development being paid for, all the requirements for it. Now, mind you, we're going to have to run water and sewer lines down there, so it's going to be an expensive portion of that, and that development is going to be paying for the entire aspect, as well as all the development in the road infrastructure inside that development. And again, I mentioned working with Parks and Rec in the development of trailheads in the northern part of our community. Is something that is needed, and we need to be able to improve them, just like we did with the dog park on it. It was a system that we set up that removed a problem from our community and made an improvement so that it is now well used. And of course, every day you go out there, you see a bunch of dogs out there enjoying it.
All righty, thank you. All right, we will begin this question with Chip. As the mayor of Apache Junction, can you describe your role in keeping water resources sustainable in order to attract and retain new businesses to the area?
Well, I sit also on the board for the Apache Junction Water District. And we just had a briefing here at our last water board meeting. And right now, we have more than enough water that we can supply for the development to the south. This is one of the important things to maintain, that we have plenty of resources, whether it's water or services as well. And we must maintain that involved. Right now, we have, for this, the Apache Junction Water District, we have a grand total of a little over 7,800 acre feet, not square feet, acre feet of water that's available to our water district. Right now, we are using approximately 1,696 of this for potable water. So you can see right there, we have plenty of water to be able to continue on this development to the south of it. Now, mind you, further growth into there does present a future problem, and that's where we need to come out and secure water. The Arizona water services the rest of our community, and they claim that they have plenty of water. And one of the things that has to be known is when a developer wants to put in a facilities, he has to acquire the water before he can develop it, before it can come to the city and say, I want to build this development. He has to have plenty of water. And whether he gets it through Arizona water or brings it water to Arizona water, that's what can be done.
Thank you, Chip. Same question, Mo. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, sir.
Okay, please proceed.
The water in Apache Junction, I studied it, talked to them. This Apache Junction water, they have a reserve for about next 100 years. There's enough water. Right now is being used about 6 to 7%, somewhere around that figure. And I talked to this Arizona water. They have the same, almost the same amount of water they have. There's sufficient water over here. The problem we're gonna run into in the future when is start growth going on and they keep bringing more homes and all that stuff, that's what is the job is gonna be for the public and the city officials to control the growth of how much water we have. Right now, they have water for 100 years. If we keep bringing the growth, it's not gonna stay 100 years, it's gonna declining to be a 90, then 80, then 70 or 60%. And 60 years or something, we have to watch how they grow and what they do. But we do have resources. You have an Indian community. You know, the people have the water rights. Peoples are not growing anymore because it used to be a cotton field and all those hay fields and everywhere. Right now, they're selling their property. Those water rights are over there. We can access those water rights that we can bring some more water in. And SRP have plenty of water, but they have a different use on it. But we have those sources that we can bring in and restore more water for our community. But it's controlled growth that is going to take us for the long way. Another thing is state selling state lands and all that stuff. They are selling those lands and the developers are buying it. If the city don't have enough water, they need to set up some kind of rules or regulation or some things about it. Then they can allow them to build all that stuff. If we don't have that much water or those issues, then we need to find the way how to control it, how we can work on it. If that's a future reference, if this election is for merely 2 years. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mo. Okay, on to the third question here, and we will begin with you, Mo. Quality jobs attract businesses and qualified workers. What is your plan to target industries and increase the living wage in Apache Junction?
Quality job, there's people that they come where the industries are. Apache Junction don't have very much industry in this area. And we need to have a school system or college system, and then they can teach those technologies and all that stuff. The people can be educated in the schools or colleges, and they can have a job in this area. And the reason we are running into in these situations, Apache Junction is about at least 70% behind than any other area. This was the growth right now. They cannot grow anywhere else because these are land sitting over here that people are moving in. And the quality, for example, I have a master's degree in applied physics. I got a computer programming degrees. But it has to be smart enough to figure out what to do. I gave up all that stuff. Living in a big cities, came to a small town, have a very successful business. And we need to attract what the people want, what people need. And to be sustainable, we want to be an exemplary town in this area that people can come because we have a Superstition Mountain, we have a tourist attraction, we have every single thing over here, and we can provide all that stuff to the public. We can do some special areas, this people attraction and all that stuff. Right now, they're coming on a brown road going to Tortilla Flat or going to the lake. What we need to bring it in over here to attract the people, and the people can stay and spend their dollars to city sustain and be a strong city, an exemplary town, and people call Apache Junction is one of the best city in in the state of Arizona. Is we can bring those all kind of things. We just need to work with the public and attract the people and do the good business and good jobs, create the jobs. And there's plenty of room over here to do all that stuff. We are the best town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Same question, Chip. Would you like me to restate?
No, I'm going to.
Okay, please proceed.
Yeah, one of the things that we are very fortunate in the aspect on it, because we're right next door to the Williams Gateway Airport, which has got, say, a lot of industry that is going into the area, as well as a bunch of additional service-type jobs as well, which is very well-paying jobs in it to it. This is something that well, I sit on the airport board and get to see some of the things that are coming in, and their plans and their growth is really moving forward, as well as some of the developments in and around the area in the outskirts of the airport, which are right adjacent to our city. So we have an opportunity to capitalize on those types of jobs and assist people in getting them. It's one of the things that's just right next door to us, and so you don't have that far to travel. In addition to that, we will be having this area directly to the south, just north of the 24, which is going to be designated as business opportunities, and that can also be capitalized onto it and developed as well. And it's something that I think that we, as a city, need to capitalize on and work towards and help the infrastructure that needs to be done on this. And then immediately to the south of the 60, we have that industrial area down there, which lacks in the a lot of the inner structure that needs to be done, and we need to improve that and work with it so that we can bring businesses to that area as well.
All right, thank you, Chip. Okay, we will go on to question 4 here. And Chip, you get to lead off on this one. All right, what are the most pressing issues affecting the business community that you can work on in connection with the chamber to keep our business community thriving?
One of the things I think is the ability to work with the chamber in so many things, and when they can address the problem, we can look at it and address it. One of the things that I'm going to say, proud of the fact that, you know, I've helped several businesses that have started in our community and have worked with them in working through the system, trying to get them up and operational. And it is something that is rewarding in the aspect on it, and it's very, in a sense, to the point that it is challenging, not necessarily for the business, but it's challenging to get the entire, working through the entire and understanding the rules, what need to be done. And some of the rules are, you know, I'm going to say state set, some of them are federally set, and the problem is so many times is you don't understand what the rules are, and it becomes a major, I'll say, hurdle that you think you need to overcome. But some of it can be assisted and worked, and we've done our best to do that. I've assisted people in trying to work through them and have been successful several times, and we'll continue on doing that, working with the chamber as well as working with the businesses of our community.
Thank you, Chip. Same question, Mo. Would you like me to restate it?
Please.
All right. What are the most pressing issues affecting the business community that you can work on in connection with the chamber to keep our business community thriving?
Thank you. The major issue that we have, the people that want to bring the business over here and they want to build the business, peoples are not building the business. They hire general contractors. General contractors know the codes, regulations, and all that stuff. And in the past, we heard that everybody has an issue and problem, could not pass it. I can give you guys an example. There is a business in Apache Junction, very successful. They were moving from one location to the other location, and they just have to remodel that place. Cost them $70,000 and did not open. Has been obstacle created one after other, one after other, one after other. I'm the one person on Facebook, and then council members got involved in it. Finally, they open it up. We have a problem with our development service. Right now, I talked to a couple of people. They said they are getting better and better. A couple of people retired, a couple of people are gone. People are afraid to come to the city of Apache Junction to ask anything they want to build. They said, okay. Several people tell, okay, we're going to start working on it. They're going to issue us a citation. It's easy to forgive us. If I get elected, my goal is to make sure that everybody treated right, and more businesses will come if we are business friendly. And Apache Junction is right now is not a business friendly because these obstacles and all that stuff they set up. Codes, federal codes, state codes, and city code. Everybody have to comply with that. I'm totally agreed with it. And the people don't apply the codes, they don't follow the codes, they don't need to be in Apache Junction. But we need to work with the public, bring some more businesses in, attract the people in town. Last meeting this we have at VFW, previous council member admitted that we have a problem with our development services, we need to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. And so before I move on to the next question, just kind of drilling down on that question a little bit more, what, and we'll start with you on this one, Mo, what specifically, in your opinion, could you do then to work with the Chamber of Commerce and the business community to help some of those issues that you were speaking about? Or is there something that you think that the Chamber could do to help, or the business community?
Absolutely, the chamber, that's why the people become the chamber member. If we have a problem, we can go sit down with the chamber or ask them, or as the same token is a chamber job to go to visit the businesses. I haven't seen the chamber, I'm a member, chamber member. I have not seen one chamber member add to the hitching post or that location for the last 2 years. They need to do their job also, to get with the community or get to the businesses, ask them what we can do to help. They are the bridge between the business and the city, Apache Junction. And we don't see them. They just send us an email, okay, here's the email, pay the dues, and we send the dues, we are the members. That's what I would like to see. They need to be more friendly, go to the businesses and talk to them, ask them any question, ask them any problem, and they will solve the problem. They're capable people, they're intelligent people working there. They know how to handle it, how to fix it. But we need open communication lines. We need to see each other. We need to sit down, or they could have a meetings. All the businesses can go over there and have a sit down, discuss, that's the problem we have, how we can fix it, how we can solve it. If you can't solve a problem, you are self a problem. There is no problem can be solved. It's a small town, we love each other, we talk to each other, we see each other. That's how you solve the problem, to communicate. We have broken communication.
Thank you, Mo, for that answer. Chip, same question.
Well, I'm going to do a little spin on this one and the aspects on it. And, you know, we have a development services individual. It's a part of the city as well. Is part of the ability to go out to a potential business and talk to them and talk them through as well. Working with the chamber, I know she does work with the chamber as well in trying to work through different issues that end up coming up as to how a developer, or not necessarily a developer, a business comes in. One of the problems that has been involved in some of the developments that have tried to come in and have gone through a series of problems is they did things that were outside of the communication, like what Mo was saying. They hired somebody to come in and do some work, and they were not a certified contractor. And according to state law, they have to be a certified contractor and to do the improvements and the work. So, you know, that's part of the problem, is for them to understand what is needed, the reasons why that is. And that's one of the things that we've worked on and have been successful in making some changes in our code right now, is to give people the reasons why some of these things are required, what the statements are and what needs to be accomplished, and how they can meet whatever the code requirement is in this aspects on it.
Thank you, Chip. Okay, we will get back on with the normal scheduled questions. Thank you for answering that side question there. Okay, question 5, and getting back to the order, Mo, you will lead this one off. In April, the City Council unanimously adopted an updated economic development strategic plan. One of the action items is to develop a downtown entertainment plan. What are your thoughts on this, and what would you do to begin the process?
There is a strategic plan for the development in a downtown, has been for a long time. And how we can attract the people to come to Apache Junction, and then we can rebuild this, all that stuff, the downtown be a very significant. We need to look into how we can attract them. You guys look at the Scottsdale, Cave Creek, Gilbert, Chandler, where they open it up over there. We don't have anything to offer right now. If you open up jewelry stores, Western Town, saddle shop, horse community, they're looking for that. We don't have, we just go to the shop supporting the big businesses. Small businesses come open up in small places over there. There's people see the tourism come in this town. They look at it one after other, they can go over there. In the downtown in Apache Junction area, I strongly recommend that we have to find a way to fix it. Maybe we can have a horse buggies or horses lane or bicycle lane or some kind of that stuff to be over there that people can easily go, because right now the horses can't go, they can't cross the road. We don't have even signs over there. Do the horse watch for the horses or a horse community? No, we don't have nothing. We're just talking about it. If we have a way that people can go over there on the horse, they can get out, tie up their horse, people are gonna see it. It's gonna attract the tourism, attract the people, generate the dollars. We are to do all that kind of stuff to help the growth. And we have an empty lot sitting over there. They just approved a 9-story building on one of the lot over there. I don't know how the people feel about it. And it's gonna happen or not happen, it's gonna change or not. We have no idea what it is. But if we have a plan for several years, we need to start it, acting on it. We need to be proactive. We need to start something and then go on with that. We have some kind of time limit set for that to finish the plan.
Thank you, Mo. Same question, Chip. Would you like me to repeat it?
Please.
Okay. In April, the City Council unanimously adopted an updated economic development strategic plan. One of the action items is to develop a downtown entertainment plan. What are your thoughts on this, and what would you do to begin the process?
Well, one of the things that needs to be done is, we're having to have, like he was talking about, tourists and attraction. We also have to have the ability to have, the entertainment. One of the things I think would be fantastic is a restaurant that has an open feel in it, and where you're looking out towards the Superstition Mountains, and you get to see that view. And it's an attraction that would be. Now, we have talked about the ability to bring in a theater and things along this line. But we need to study it first to find out what is the, abilities for it, what's the attraction to it, and how we can keep on working it. And of course, one of the things that we're talking about is more houses, so that we would have the walkability in this area. Mo had mentioned about the idea of having horses and signages and everything. We are definitely working on that, but we have to pay attention to what the requirements are. If it is an ADOT road, we can't put up a sign as a city, but we can work with ADOT and have a recommendation with them and see if we can do work with it at that time and get it approved. So those are things that we need to look at the whole picture as to what we can do and how we can go move forward in this entertainment center that is going in.
All right. Thank you, Chip. Okay. How you guys doing up there? You doing all right? Need a drink or anything? You
Great.
good? You got your water bottles? Okay. All right. Chip, we're going to lead off with you on this one. The City of Apache Junction's road tax will expire in 2025. What is your plan to fund the maintenance and repair of our roads in the future?
I'm going to say that is a very, very good question in it. Part of our funds come from the HERV funds, which are generated for the sales tax that's done by the state, and that's supposed to be helping us take care of. Unfortunately, the state legislators raided the HERV funds and took it away from us and was using it to finance ADOT, some of the things that they were doing to ADOT, as well as paying for some of the things that they also needed to have done because they didn't have the funds. Well, if we need to maintain the HERV funds coming in, and we need to work with the legislation to make sure that that maintains and still keeps coming in. And we have HERV funds coming in right now that are going to finish taking care of it. The additional funds that we have until this tax expires can be used to work ahead on some of the roads that need to be worked on. If everyone remembers, a few years ago, the Apache Trail was in a very poor situation, and it took a lot of funds to fix it up, to make it so that was the way it is right now. And we need to maintain that and be able to keep it. Part of the expense was the ADA requirements. If you notice, all the intersections have the ramps on the sidewalks and everything. That's all because of the requirements of the federal. But that caused additional expenditures for us that we needed to spend. And so, there's things that we need to look at and what we're going on, and we need to look and see what's going to happen in the future with the HERV funds, with the state legislation, and work with state legislation to ensure it continues.
Thank you, Chip. Mo, same question.
Yes, sir. Anytime any business or any development comes to the town or city, every city has impact fees. Just like the south of the town, they have a big development coming up. The developer already calculated all the fee and passing along to the people who's going to buy it. Just like they're going to do the sewer, they're going to do the water line, they're going to build the roads and all that stuff. This already in their plan is going paid for. A city don't have to pay any money for it. We have HERV funds comes in Apache Junction. They use those funds to fix the roads and all that stuff. We have to be proactive. We have a contract signed with the waste company, the garbage company that come pick up the garbage. We sign a contract, only one garbage company is allowed to pick up that one, and then after that, they're giving us some percentage of money back. I'm not 100% sure, maybe a 9% money. They're giving back to the city, paying back to the city. And I questioned one time where that money is going, and they told us that money going for hazardous waste. Why those funds allocated to hazardous waste? That fund should be allocated, the truck that's tearing up the road, that money should go to the roads. When the time comes to fix that road, we have that fund sitting over there to fix the roads, including the state funds, and that fund, that would be fixing the roads on that stuff. That's why when city gonna make the intelligent decision or do something about this stuff coming in, those funds has to be go in that direction. Impact fee, parks, roads, all that stuff, those impact fees go to the city of Apache Junction, police department, fire department, library. That fund allocated for that. We need to save those funds to fix our roads. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Okay. All right, Mo, we're going to lead off with you this time.
Sure.
What plans do you have to fund the necessary infrastructure south of the US 60 for future commercial and industrial growth?
The future is already, this plan is already improved back in 2020. The city of Apache Junction is a well-capable, intelligent people. They looked at it and they decide go that direction. It's a well-handed, intelligent. They've been doing that for several years and they have done that. And obviously, we have to attract the industrial area. We have an industrial zone area. We need to attract that. That's what last time Tolleson or Cation, that's what exactly they did. They gave up impact fee instead of charging up front. They gave him a strategic plan for 5 years or 6 years. Let's bring your business, generate the revenue, generate the tax dollars, and from that, the people can pay every year or every month a small amount of money that can keep paying this one. If you open up a business, pay $60,000 or $1 million impact fee on that one and business not successful, and that person is out of money. Or the person has $1 million, impact fee costs $50,000, he has to take a more loan from the bank. If we have some kind of future plan set out for the attract the businesses, and those people can bring the businesses, and the impact fee have to cover the roads, management, library, every single thing on it. And if we have 20 businesses, every business is giving every year about $20,000, $30,000, that's gathered up those money, all that stuff to solve the problems. And then people will come, people attract that one, okay, they're giving us time instead of paying up front, they distribute it in 10 years. Right now, Tolleson and Cation, you see, you can't find any empty place. The warehouses, every right next door they have an auction place, they have loaded up with the distribution center, completely fill it up less than 10 years. We need to come up with the same type of plan to be attractive and bring the commercial properties and work with them and be successful town, successful city.
Thank you, Mo. Same question, Chip. You want me to repeat it, or you good?
Yeah, go ahead and repeat it.
Okay. What plans do you have to fund the necessary infrastructure south of the US 60 for future commercial and industrial growth?
That's one of the things that I have been working on for, well, I'm going to say for 2 years, in the aspect of what we need to do and bring it to provision on it. It is something that, yes, we need to do it. We need to invest into it and use some of our funds that we have as a city to be proactive and start doing it. We also need to work with potential businesses that would be developing in the areas. That way, we are bringing in the infrastructure that they need. It is something that is needed in our community, and we need to do the investment into the future on this. It is something that it's frustrating on my part when you see a business come in and looking at an area and then turn around and decide to leave because they don't have the power or the water service that they need to have for their business. And we lost a possibility of a construction business that was going to be just south of the 60. And it would have been a great add addition to our community. But again, they needed to have more power. And the unfortunate thing was, to bring the power in was going to cost a lot of money. And we need to put it into our budget and start working it and doing it and making the investments that is available for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And so, as I'm sitting here thinking and listening to both of your answers, which were excellent, how do you, kind of a follow-up question on the question here, how do you balance the needs of a city that has some aging infrastructure and aging roads with the balance of a new area south of the 60 that now needs new infrastructure, new underground utilities, all those different things to make it work? How do you balance that in the city to ensure that the infrastructure that is there that needs to be repaired, that needs to be taken care of, is taken care of, and the citizens there are happy with the services that the city's given, but at the same time balance that need to make sure that you're still bringing in affordable housing, the different things that are needed in a new area south of the 60? I'll give it to both of you. Either one can jump in first. Mo, please go first.
I can jump in first. That's a simple answer for that. Infrastructure, how we can keep it. This is what the tax dollars do that for. The state tax and the city of Apache Junction tax. And then we have a general fund sitting over there. For example, when I open up the business, they ask me of $71,000 or $74,000 impact fees. And when we calculated, it came out to be only $8,000 check, and I wrote that check, and it was in a council meeting. That check is go to that infrastructures, roads, and all that stuff. Impact fee, for example, the south of the 60, that's impact fee, is passing along to the person who's gonna buy the house. Is the business is gonna come in, same way you pass along to the customer and say the impact fee, pass along to them, and they're gonna pass along to the customers. It's a simple, it's a 2 + 2 is a 4. There's no magical number that you need, or not bring those any higher people they can think about. Simple solution for it is the money comes in, that you spend it, government takes it, government give it back to the cities, and the city will fix it. The major problem we have, why they don't people come over here? We have this moving company, they have boxes all over the place. They were coming on Idaho Road south of 60. And city came up with a new conditional use permit. Conditional use permit have so many conditions on, you can't run the business. They don't want to do it anything. U-Haul, I'm talking about U-Haul, they don't want to run the business. People come in, you are legal by the right, you are legal by the zone, you are legal by the state law, you can open it, where the Apache Junction created the conditional use permit attached with the code. Now they create the conditions. You can't operate those business with those conditions. Some conditions are, they say, we're recommending it, but when you come to the council put a stamp on it, it becomes a code. You have no way to avoid that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Same question, Chip.
Yes. One of the things that we've been talking about, of course, is the impact fees on it. And the impact fees are set up for different portions of it to be used for different types of, I want to say, support, like for the library, for the police, for roads and infrastructure. It's divided up. So because you wrote a check for $8,000, is not going to be $8,000 for the roads. There's a portion of it that goes to the others as well, and you can only use them for those. It's just like the dog park. It was developed because of impact fees. After a period of time, they saved up enough funds to be able to use that, to be able to open it up. They couldn't do anything at the current park where the funds would have been used. They had to use it for something new, and that's what was done. It's the same thing with the police money that going in. You can't use it for anything that's current, but you can add on and increase. So those are what needs to be done with the funds. One of the things I'd like to see in the aspect of being able to put, say, some investment by the city into the infrastructure that is needed that would help bringing and attracting a business, which is an over expenditure of our tax dollars in that area to help them to do it. And then once they come in, then you work a payback program where they pay back the investment that the city has done.
Thank you, Chip. Okay, all right, next question, and Chip, you'll lead off on this one, and looking at the time, we might get 2 more questions in before closing statements, so. All right, 85% of small business owners are concerned about the impact of inflation, up from 75% last quarter. What do you propose, or is there anything that the city can do to help small business owners mitigate this impact?
Okay. Not only is that a huge concern of mine, but it's also a huge concern of the city as well, as how this will impact, us as a community. And we need to look at the different types of programs that we could do, and whether it's federal or state programs that can be tied together into assisting. It is really and truthfully, we need to look at the whole picture and figure out what we can do and how we can implement anything that needs to be done that can assist in this. It's one of the proposals by our president is to give a holiday on the gasoline tax. Well, that's only 18 cents a gallon. And they're talking to the state. The state's 14 cents a gallon. So you put the two of them together, yes, that's 30-some cents, but that is not the answer to the problem, because now you don't have the money that's going to come to the city to help pay for road upkeep and maintenance, because you've lost that, because the state's lost it, the federal government's lost it. And so there's impacts on how you need to do this. So we need to take a complete long side picture of what can be done and how we can implement it and how we can work it through so everybody, and I mean everybody, can work together and assist everyone.
Thank you, Chip. Same question, Mo.
Can you repeat it,
Would you
please? Thank you.
Would you like me to restate it, or are you good?
Just
Have at it.
how we can sustain the businesses because during this inflations or COVID or going on. Federal government is start setting up the grant and giving out a lot of businesses. I am the one of the businesses did not took a penny. If you are not a smart businessman, you don't deserve that. You don't put your hands out for give you something. No, you earn it. That's how it is work. Federal government gave out a lot of funding to the people. Pinal County gave out one time about $15,000, and the second time they gave out the money of somewhere close to $7,000 or $10,000 every business in Pinal County. City of Apache Junction received somewhere $11 or $12 million. Don't quote me there for some figure. And when that money came in, they offered to the business owner $10,000. Some businesses got $10,000. Federal government forgave that money to every people. They got that money from the federal government, the forgiveness, all that stuff. City of Apache Junction sent them W-2s to pay the taxes on it. Then we have a general fund sitting over at Apache Junction. When they saw the money coming in, City of Apache Junction took a 4% or 4.5% raise on their salaries. We went through back in 2006 and 7, inflation, all that stuff. This is going to be the worst one. That money coming in from general fund, I propose them to give them bonus. Give them a bonus. When the inflation comes in, we will have that fund to be survive. But we never thought about for the future and all that stuff. That's how you work. You work with the public. I'm a business owner. You cut your cost. You work hard at it. Why you want to get the money from somebody else? You figured out how to calculate, how to fix it, to be successful in that business, not to asking for the money and working with the money, for the asking government to pay money. I'm completely against it. If you don't earn it, you don't deserve it.
All right, thank you, Mo. Do we have time for one more question? Okay, let's do one more question, and then we'll move into closing statements. Let's see, Mo, I think you lead off on this one. And you were both just talking about some fiscal responsibility in the budget there. So how do you feel about the current city budget spending? What improvements would you make, or where would you change spending? And if elected, what steps would you take to ensure fiscal responsibility?
Last time I was in a meeting, they have a very good budget set up for it. They hired the outside company, they checked it out. There was, they have a good budget. They have paid their bills, they paid their bonds and all that stuff. They are open to that. And I don't know what's internally going on. I've never been in a meeting, and I can't say that how they spend it, how they fix it. So far, Apache Junction is successful. They fixed the roads, they built the dog park, they built all that stuff. Look like they go in the right direction. When I get in, if I get in, then I would learn all that stuff. I used to work for the company. They have about, it's just a company that's not like a City of Apache Junction. They have about $30–40 million business. I set up the business, I set up their businesses, I set up their plans, I set up their budgets, I set up all that stuff. Thing is that if you have a situation, one time we were working at the same situation, we were working on it, okay, now you need about 7% or 8% money, how we can do that? You look at each department. Every department, you get 1/4% over there, 0.5% on this one, but it doesn't gonna affect that much. You point there, end of department, you have several departments, you saved about 7%, but it's not gonna affect anything. Operation is gonna stay the same. You don't cut down the employees, they have to feed their people. You don't fire the employees, they have to feed their people. How we can find the way to make it work at the same operation going on and same budget, you can manage it and handle it. That is an easy calculation, easy mathematical work. And the people are smart in Apache Junction they are working, they've been handling it for several years. Kudos to them. But if I get in, maybe I can bring some new ideas. And that would help. Because I'm a successful businessman, I have done that and I prove it to them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mo. Same question, Chip, would you like me to restate it?
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel about the current city budget spending? What improvements would you make, or where would you change spending? If elected, what steps would you take to ensure fiscal responsibility?
Well, part of our fiscal responsibilities is, number one, we have to have a balanced budget. We can never go into, call it the red, can never spend more than what we're actually bringing in. And so that's what's the driving aspect on it. Mo had mentioned the idea of the 4% pay raise for the city staff. Really and truthfully, we need to stay competitive. Unfortunately, we lost some police officers that went down to when Queen Creek started. They handed Queen Creek people, anyone that went to them, a $10,000 signing bonus on it, which we were not able to match in any way, shape, or form. And we don't want to become a training place where you train people and then they move on to other locations. So you need to have competitive salaries. And one of the things that I think that we have been very successful at is been keeping some very loyal people that have worked very well with our community, and we have been paying them as to the best of our abilities when we need to make sure that we pay them what they're worth. We have an increase in needs that we can look at possibly augmenting employment with going to an outside source of review, and this is the planning of the buildings and things. Looking at that from an outside source instead of inside, because we're going to be swamped with a number of applications that are coming in from down south. So it's one of the things we can use to assist our employment of our people.
Okay, thank you, Chip. Okay, we're going to do in reverse order. So Mo, you get to go first and give us a 1-minute closing statement of whatever you'd like us to know.
I hope this, I will give you guys an answer, and I hope the people can understand that. I'm calculating the numbers, gave them the option how we can fix and all that stuff. The most important thing is we have to bring the friendly environments. Attract the jobs, attract the businesses in this town. We're having that issue. We need to be more friendly. I would like to see anybody comes in any City of Apache Junction's office, have to be respectful. How may I help you? What I can do to help? If you are the community service elected by the community, you should have a meeting, have engagement with the customers and the people of Apache Junction who voted for you. Talk to them, go sit down over there, discuss with them what's going on. And if there is any problem, if I get elected, if they tell me there's a problem, there's a code issue, my job is to search the code. My job is to look for it if it's the right code or the wrong code, and have to discuss with the both parties to solve the problems. I'm not here to create a problem. I'm here a problem solver. I want to be successful. I want to be Apache Junction successful. I want to be City of Apache Junction, be exemplary town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Chip, 1 minute.
Okay. One of the things that I want to emphasize the fact that, number one, with the new control or the growth to the south, it's going to be something that we need to control it. We need to make sure that it meets all the needs of the community, as well as that we do not, burden the community. Make sure that the growth pays for its own way and that it is beneficial for the entire community. And I feel that this is something that needs to be done, and we're very in a golden opportunity to move forward and have this growth benefit our community. And yes, it is going to be painstaking, but it's something to look forward to and see what we can to develop into the future. And I want to thank you all for putting this on and inviting me and Mo as well to this forum.
Thank you.
Wow, just done.
All right. Well, thank you to both of you for being here this evening, and most of all, thank you for being willing to run for office. We need good people to run for office and be willing to serve. So this concludes our first forum for the evening. Yes, let's give them a round of a hand. Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, we heard some great answers from them. There was some good exchange between the both of you, so thank you. I would like to thank the Apache Junction Chamber of Commerce and their sponsors, SRP and Southwest Gas, for their sponsorship, and a thank you to the City of Apache Junction for allowing us to use the council chambers. Go ahead and stick around for a minute because we're going to get the next council debate going in about 15 minutes. And don't forget to vote on August 2nd. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, candidates, for being here this evening to discuss those issues that are important to our business community. Now, it is my pleasure to again introduce one of tonight's sponsors, Brian Heath, Senior Director, Facilities and MCM Services for SRP, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance one more time, as well as introduce our candidates. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Your attendance here tonight is vital to a healthy political process. That's why by the end of the evening, we hope that you'll come away with a greater knowledge of the candidates and their positions on issues, so you can make a more informed decision when you cast your ballot. I'd like to thank the candidates for joining us this evening and introduce our 4 city council candidates. Daryl Cross, Ari Kalan, Robert Schroeder, Brian Soler. Soler, thank you. And now, it's my privilege to introduce our moderator for tonight's forum, Ward Nichols. Ward is a 5th-generation native to Arizona in the East Valley. He's been a business entrepreneur most of his life and has built and sold several of his businesses. In 2002, Ward was asked to run for the Arizona House of Representatives and was honored to win and serve the people of Arizona until 2010, when he was termed out from serving. While serving in the legislature, Ward chaired the Rules Committee and had several bills signed by Governors Napolitano and Brewer. Wanting to get back to family and business, Ward chose not to run for Arizona Senate and left public service. Since leaving elected office, Ward has built and sold another business and currently works for ASU, running the East Valley Office of Government and Community Engagement. He loves working with elected officials in the business community of the East Valley on behalf of ASU. He has been married to Paula for 30 years, and they have 3 children. Please welcome Ward Nichols.
Thanks, Brian. And again, thank all of you for being here today. Just a friendly reminder that we are recording and to be broadcast through the Chamber's website, I believe, hopefully by tomorrow. And then there is a live stream going on right now as well. And so that's kind of why we're doing everything all over again. But rest assured, there are going to be some different questions this time. So I'll get back on script here. Sorry, Marianne. Good evening, and thank you all for participating. I would like to thank all the candidates for joining us tonight during this busy election season. And it truly is busy when you're out putting up signs, knocking doors, and doing the different things to try to get your word out and tell people what you're about. It can get very, very busy. The Chamber and its partners have made every effort to assure tonight's forum will be neutral, balanced, and provide each candidate an equal opportunity for expression of views, resulting in an evening we trust that is both informative and lively. I'm going to get my glasses on so it's not so blurry. Tonight's questions have been compiled by the Apache Junction Area Chamber of Commerce member businesses and community partners that address issues impacting Apache Junction and the business community. In answering, we ask that candidates provide a brief and succinct response so that the maximum number of questions may be asked. Now I'll go over the rules that we've established for tonight's forum. Earlier this evening, the candidates drew numbers on the order in which they are seated. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement to use as they wish. Candidates will have a maximum of 2 minutes to respond to each question, and then there will be rebuttals allowed up to 1 minute each. At the end of the question and answer series, each candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement, given in reverse order of the opening statements. To ensure fairness and equal opportunity for expression of views and positions, response times will be electronically monitored, and you guys saw how all that worked. Finally, to ensure a fair and nonpartisan forum and for the purpose of our live broadcast, we ask that the audience remain respectful during the forum. Outbursts, displaying of signs, comments, and any type of disruptive behavior during the forum will not be allowed. Anyone who engages in these activities will be asked to leave. So, you guys ready to get started?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. We're gonna lead off with Mr. Schroeder with your opening statement, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome for being here. My name is Robert Schroeder. I am running for re-election for the AJ City Council. So choosing a representative comes with a certain level of consideration. This individual, as your representative, should be able to question staff when certain agenda items come up on the agenda, or advocate for them when they do, if it's best interest of the city. And more importantly, you need to kind of know the difference. Some of these items will come across, and you really have to read the material. You're going to have to do your homework and just make a nice, educated guess on the fact of, is this good for everyone? So as your councilman, what I can bring to you is I have served for 5 years on the planning and zoning. I serve on your water board. I am currently representing you on the boards of the Central Arizona of Governments and the Pinal Regional Transportation Authority. With that, I bring a wealth of knowledge to the dais, and it allows me to make educated decisions on some of the more complex issues that we face. So as we move forward to keep the city going in the right direction that it's going in now, I feel it'd be beneficial to have individuals up here that are willing to question and learn and have their own individual opinions on matters. We don't necessarily need a bunch of rubber stamps. I'm not suggesting that we have them up here now. I'm just saying that we want people to express their own opinions in these meetings. We want them to have their own ideas, and it's okay, and it's even great to even introduce things to the city. I've currently introduced, we're putting up a service sign at the entrance. I introduced that to council. We worked hard and we got it done, and it's being fabricated as we speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Mr. Callan, please.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight and giving us some of your time to hear what we're all about. My name's Ari Callan. I'm a local guy. I grew up right here in Apache Junction, graduated from Apache Junction High School in 2006. I even went to CAC, go Vaqueros. Obviously, there's a lot of change happening in our city right now, and there's going to have to be a lot of decisions of which path do we want to take. Do we want to go down the path and follow a lot of the surrounding communities, such as Santan, Queen Creek, Gilbert, and explode uncontrollably to where they're unrecognizable as a city now of what they once were? I've knocked on a lot of doors and talked to a lot of people in the last 6-7 months, and the big concerns that I've heard from people, whether they were longtime residents or people that came here in the last few years, is, are we going to be able to retain Apache Junction as a small town, as a rural feel, as the city that we all know and love? I'm a small business owner myself, so I understand management. I'm a family man. I'm raising my family here right now, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm running, is I want to afford my children the same upbringing I had growing up in a rural environment, and the greatness that brings to a childhood, and not having to worry about the bigger city problems. Thank you, and I hope you like what I have to say tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Callan. Mr. Cross, your opening statement, please.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. My name's Daryl Cross. I've been an AJ resident since 2004. Married for 36 years to my high school sweetheart. I've got 2 children and 5 grandchildren. I've been a foreman for the fire sprinkler industry for over 35 years. So I've managed a lot of different jobs. I've managed a lot of different men and worked with all kinds of different companies over the years. I'm also currently the chairman of the Superstition Horsemen's Association. I'm a graduate of the Apache Junction Citizen Leadership Institute. And I'm also currently a planning and zoning commissioner right here in AJ. like a lot of us up here, we all want to see Apache Junction be the best it could ever be. We don't want to see it turn into a downtown Tempe. We don't want to see it turn into a downtown Scottsdale. A lot of people that we've talked to when we've gotten signatures, they want to see AJ stay as a smaller type community, or at least something that we can recognize as a small town community. A lot of people have expressed to me that they want to see a Western type theme to our AJ. There's lots of great ideas. We have a general plan that's in place, but we really don't have a theme for that general plan. And we need to come up with something so that everybody can participate in it and express their desires. So as we go forward tonight, I look forward to the questions and providing you with good, educated answers, having served with the city for, on planning and zoning for 2 years now. So I've got a pretty good grasp of how the city works. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Mr. Solar.
Hello, thank you for coming. My name is Brian Solar. I'm running for Apache Junction City Council. Tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a small-town farm boy. I came out here to become a police officer. I'm an active lieutenant for the city of Mesa. I got my bachelor's degree from Arizona State University in municipal management and business. I got my master's degree from Northern Arizona University in educational leadership. I graduated the FBI Alita Command School, and I also graduated Northwestern University for Executive Command. I've been in charge of the Mesa Phoenix Gateway Airport for 3 years. I also was the president of the Arizona Fraternal Order of Police for over 8 years, where I ran all the operations. It's the largest law enforcement organization in the state of Arizona, and it's also the largest organization in the country, and I sat on the national board. So I have a lot of training and experience for this job. Why I want to run? I think I bring a lot of potential to the council. I've done a lot of growth projects with the City of Mesa Police Department, especially when it comes to building buildings. I was the one that went out and designed the new evidence building they're going to do. I want to bring that knowledge and institutional capabilities to the city so I can help the city manager and the city council and mayor get projects done. I'm a small town guy. I believe in small businesses and small entrepreneurships. I'm not a big box retail guy. I do not like big box retail. I think there's a lot of growth in the city of AJ that's going to happen whether we want it or not. I agree with the mayor in what he said. I want to have very reasonable, very calculated, and extremely controlled growth in our city. I want to make sure what we're bringing in, the types of homes, the types of apartments, the types of businesses, that they fit the needs of our residents and that we get the most bang for our buck out of them by making sure they pay their impact fees and making sure that we do things right the first time so the taxpayers don't have to foot the bill.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Solar. Okay, we'll get on with the question and answer session here. And Mr. Callan, we'll lead off with you on this one. Give 3 qualifications or skill sets that make you a leading candidate for city council. Explain why these qualifications cause you to stand out amongst your opponents.
Great question. Probably one of the hardest questions to answer is when you have to boast about yourself and give out your qualities, but I'll do my best there. Well, like I said, I'm a small business owner, so I'm in management. I deal with people all the time, whether it's employees, subcontractors, or clients, bridging that gap to what the client wants to what we're capable of doing over here, and then following it through and seeing something done. Probably the thing I'm most prideful about having received in my life, even though this is eons ago, in high school, 3 years in a row, I was voted amongst the staff of the high school the Outstanding Citizen of the Year. And to me, that was huge, because that showed that, it showed me personally, and I guess those around recognized that I am a great citizen in the community, that I was always helping whoever needed the help. Didn't matter who they were, I was the one that when new kids would come to school, they would ask me to show them around. And I could bridge the gap between this group of kids and this group of kids. I believe that's a great component to have and a skill to have when working for the city, because we have all different kinds of people in the community that want this and want that, and we have to come together and figure out how can we do this for everybody. Number 3, I'm passionate about AJ. I love AJ. I plan on staying here as long as I can, hopefully my whole life. Been here most of my life. My friends that don't live in the city, you know, they've always called me the official, unofficial mayor of AJ, and that's something that I take to heart because I truly represent this city. I've always said that this was a great city, even though some people back before where we're at now, we used to be called certain names, Dysfunction Junction. We heard that going and playing in Scottsdale football and basketball teams, they called us that. But I always stood up for AJ because I knew how great it was here, and people are starting to realize it, and I want to make sure that we continue to show how great we are, the diamond in the rough.
Thank you, Mr. Callen. Mr. Cross, same question. Would you like me to repeat?
Sure.
Okay. Give 3 qualifications or skills or skill sets that make you a leading candidate for City Council. Explain why these qualifications caused you to stand out amongst your opponents.
Well, for starters, graduate of the Citizen Leadership Institute here that's sponsored by AJ. Gave me a really good understanding of how our city operates on a day in and day out basis. And to segue from that and into my next qualification is I'm a planning and zoning commissioner here in AJ. I've had the opportunity to look at a lot of different projects coming through as of late, make educated and informed decisions on whether it's a good fit for our city or whether it's something that shouldn't be here. The Planning and Zoning Commission is an appointed position. The City Council appoints the individual, and obviously the City Council thought and saw something in me that said I was qualified to be on that seat. The other thing is a couple other things, but I'm currently the chairman of the Superstition Horsemen Association. We've been a liaison and a watchdog over the city to make sure over the years they haven't put bad laws into place or bad rules into place that affects the horse community. You know, the horse community is a big foundation of our city. It is an economic driver in our city. We have a lot of people come from all over the country to ride horses here. And being a leader of a small organization, a group like that, has afforded me a lot of skill set to be able to help manage our city.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Mr. Solar, same question. Would you like me to repeat it, or are
No,
you good?
no, I got it.
Okay.
Education is a very big thing for me, and the biggest education I have was my bachelor's in municipal management that really teaches you how to run a city. Along with all the other education I said earlier with my background, I think that is a huge plus for the city because I have a lot of knowledge and skill in how to run a city. And I ran the Arizona Fraternal Order of Police as the president for 8 years, and I sat on the national board, and that was dealing with budgets. I would go down to the state capitol and testify. I would meet with state representatives and senators. I would meet with national representatives and senators. I testified in front of the U.S. Attorney General on border issues back in the day. So I have a lot of experience with that in labor, and I also, as a police officer, bring a lot to the city too, because I really want to make sure that we have a very well-trained, well-disciplined police department and ensure they get all the equipment they need and training they need. And I have a lot of plans to work with the chief of police and the city manager to try incorporating with other agencies so we can do some cost sharing on training and education. But my biggest thing, I think, is my drive. I have a hard work drive. I really love Apache Junction. I'm a small town boy, and I want to keep Apache Junction that small town western feel.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Solar. Mr. Schroeder, same question.
So here I thought I was being clever, dropping my resume, so I wouldn't repeat myself in an opening statement down the road, and here we are, question number 1. So, I guess, experience, again, I'm your incumbent. I've been sitting up here in this dais for the past 3.5 years. Before that, I was a planning and zoning commissioner for 5 years. I serve on numerous boards throughout the region with the CAG and the PARTA and the Water Board. But on a personal note, I started a business here. I've been in business here for 14 years. The community has rallied around my business. I started in 2008, and that's, if all of you guys can remember, probably the most terrible time in recent history to start a business. We managed to get through. I raised my family here. My daughters went to school here. My family and I were heavily involved in the schools here. I too graduated the Leadership Institute, very, very informative and I believe important program. And I just want to, take with me the city. I want to be able to be involved in the direction that this city is going in. I've always felt that way, and that's why I got into this in the first place. I originally started showing interest in this city about 10 years ago, and I just want to be a part of it. I want to look back when I'm retired and see Apache Junction thrive and say, I had something to do with that. I really would be proud to be able to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Okay, on to the next question here, and we will begin this question with Mr. Cross. Okay. Cities must be business-friendly to attract diverse business types. Do you feel Apache Junction meets that goal? If so, give examples to support your opinion, and if not, give some examples and explain your plan to correct the problem.
Great question. At times, I see from talking to individuals out in the community that there is a little bit of brokenness in the city. When I have a custom pool builder come to me and say, what's going on? It's taking me 6 months to get a swimming pool permit here in AJ, and it only takes me 2.5 weeks in Mesa. Why does it take so long to get a permit? That's kind of the broken part that I see. But the parts that are working really good is how the whole city came together for the great big development south of the city. We had the developers in, D.R. Horton, coming in and presenting their entire package, and the city worked day in and day out, long hours at night, trying to put all the pieces together to where that project would come through and get built. Talking with those developers on an individual basis, they were extremely pleased with how the city operated and how they were able to work with the city and get things done. And so I think that the city definitely has the capabilities. It just needs a little bit of tweaking here and there. And that's some of the things that as a city councilman, we can have discussions with our planning and development department and see where it's broken and come up with good ways to fix it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cross. Mr. Solar, same question. Would you like me to repeat, or?
No, I haven't.
You're good, okay.
I think the city does a very good job. We got excellent employees. I think they do a very good job. I think sometimes there's some communication fall downs and there's some red tape that we can work on cutting through. Mo brought up one of the restaurants that moved from one location to another and ran into a lot of red tape, which slowed things down and which cost them a lot of money. I would like to work to make sure that we have good communication flow and we cut through any red tape for our small business communities so that they can get things done a lot faster and a lot quicker. But overall, I think we do a great job. We have a great Chamber of Commerce. They do excellent work out there for this city. They hold meetings. They have meet and greets where new people coming in with businesses get together and meet with people outside of their area and be able to come in and meet them and talk and build great relationships. So all in all, I think Apache Junction does a really, really good job. I think we have excellent employees. I want to build on that. There's always room to improve. You should always reevaluate and look at how you can make things better. But I really think they do an excellent job.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Mr. Schroeder, same question.
Could you repeat it, please?
Yes, sir. Cities must be business-friendly to attract diverse business types. Do Do you feel Apache Junction meets that goal? If so, give some examples to support your opinion. If not, give examples and explain your plan to correct the problem.
So, I do agree with Brian over here about the communication. We've come across many different scenarios, and it always comes back to communication. And I'll tell you what, I am so frustrated with that answer whenever we come through. Oh, communication. No, you have a job, you do your job. And I've expressed this in meetings, that every time there's something going on with the red tape or something going on with the permits or the code, it's always, oh, it went to person A but didn't get to person C, we lost communication. I've really reached my wit's end on this communication excuse, and it's becoming more and more unacceptable. Now, as far as opening up to businesses, I feel like, I mean, whoever wants to come open up a business, come open up a business. If there is, granted, some of the larger corporations, they get their lawyers involved in a lot of things, and it runs very smoothly for them. You get small business owners that want to do some things, and that's where the trouble starts to happen, is when it's people who are on a shoestring budget, and they want to come in, they want to open a business, change their life, try to make something, out of nothing, and then they run into a bunch of obstacles. That absolutely needs to change for sure. But overall, I feel like that I don't think anybody was turned away at any office here because their business was too diverse, I guess. I mean, the question was, what can we do to bring more diverse businesses in here? I don't think anybody was necessarily turned away. I think everybody has an equal opportunity to open their business here. It's just we need to be able to support the small business owners. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Mr. Callen, same question. Would you like me to repeat it, or are you good to go?
I think I got it. Yeah.
Okay, please proceed.
I think that as a city, we do pretty well at getting business to come here and being open with our business. We have a great slogan as a city, shop local. It's my upbringing here, small business was always the backbone of this community, and I think it should still continue to be. Obviously, everybody talks about the red tape and the issues that we have sometimes with opening up a business in some of these older buildings. We have new regulations, ADA, that's a federal regulation. We have to figure out ways to either help support the new business with some sort of financials or some sort of breaks that we can give them to get them to pass those inspections of the new regulations, especially in these older dilapidated buildings that we want to try to use. I think it would be cool to use the older buildings of AJ, historical buildings. It would have been really cool to have seen Cobb's stay and maybe turned into something. Instead it got turned into a Dutch Bros, which I know some people love, but there's plenty of good small coffee shops in town too. The Chamber of Commerce does a great job. Every week they showcase, I think it's every week, they showcase 2 local businesses. We do the local business week every year here, and you can purchase a card and help support local businesses. I'm a small businessman myself, Schroeder, small businessman himself. Local small communities are built, by our neighbors, me, you, us, him, her, your neighbors, your pastors, those of us in the community, and it's important that we support one another. Obviously, we need to bring in a new business, but it's important to me to bring in local business, ma and pa, like Prescott's downtown area. They keep it a 1 square block of local small businesses. They don't allow corporates in, and I think we should do something like that here with our development of our downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callen. Okay. We'll move on to our next question, and this question, Mr. Solar, you get to be first.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. How will you use your position on City Council to ensure sustainability of Apache Junction's 100-year designation of assured water supplies in a rapidly changing water environment?
That's a great question. That's one of the things why I want to be on council, one of the reasons I want to be on council. we really need to watchdog our water. I was at the water meeting the other night. They told us we had 100 years of water. What does that mean? 100 years of water. 100 years of water for who, how many homes, how many businesses? We don't know what the magical number is. So we need to get on beyond that board, and we need to watchdog that. We need to always look for other resources for water to make sure we can maintain, but we have to ensure that we watch our natural resources and ensure that we have enough to sustain us for this generation, the next generation, and down the line, because 100 years goes in the blink of an eye, and we never thought we'd be finding mob hits of the 70s in Lake Mead, and here we are. The lake's so low, they're finding all the mob hits. So the bottom line is we have to really watchdog that, and I want to be on that board so I can ask the tough questions. One of the questions they never answered, what do we do about people with established wells? You start drawing water off, those wells are going to run dry. What do we do with those people? How do we help those people? You know, how do we keep their water supply? I want to ensure that we protect everybody's natural resources and water, and that's the main reason I really want to run for Apache Junction Council, because I'm concerned. I'm concerned about how many homes are going in and how much water we're going to use. And when we make agreements with the reservation or maybe the city of Mesa to get water, that's fine until tough times come. And at tough times, those agreements probably go away. So we need to make sure we have sustainable water for our population now and into the future before we build anything else, and know exactly what our numbers are.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Yes, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting, right?
Yep.
So, yep. Mr. Schroeder, same question, please.
Okay, so yeah, the 100-year water. So during the last debate, you got a little brief summary about the acre feet that is available to us and the acre feet that we use every year. And to date, we use a quarter of it. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be conscious about the water conservation. One of the things I like to see happen is we've getting all these builds going all around town, down south, you know, north, south, east, west. I like to see water-friendly builds. I like to see desert landscape, artificial turf. These are all requirements for the builders. The low-flow toilets. I'd like to see like tankless water heaters, as just that's what you get in your house that is being built right now. The faucets, the shower heads, all water conservation certified. And basically anything that's water related in a new build should go through a certification that allows that shows water conservation. I'd like to see that happen. Avoid industries that water is a major factor in their business, such as like a battery plant. I mean, they would need millions of gallons of water a day to cool down some of their machinery. And education, for sure. A water audit on yourself. You see your toilet's got a flap that leaks, change it. The hose bib in the backyard is dripping, fix it. You know, the faucet's is dripping, fix it. You know, if we all come together as a community and do our part in our own homes, we're conserving water probably by the millions of gallons a year just from leaky toilets, hose bibs, and faucets. If we can get that out to the public and educate them on what it means to conserve water, that's half the battle. So on one hand, if we can get the builders to build water-friendly homes and the homeowners existing to change the leaks in their homes, we'll have it worked out.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Mr. Callan, same question.
It's a
Would you
great
like me to
question.
repeat it? Or
No,
you
we're good. We're
Okay.
good. I'm just trying to think how I'm going to phrase this when Mr. Schroeder stole my answers over here. You know? No, water conservation is an important thing here in the desert. We're in the desert. We've had rain the last couple of days, which is really nice, but that doesn't always happen. We've had years, dry spells, and that's how we replenish our wells and our water retention. But at meetings, it's a big concern of people. They always ask the water, and we get told a bunch of just numbers, you know, numbers this, 100 years this, which is good. It's cool that we have that, but like Schroeder was saying, it's important that we educate people of what we can do as an individual and as a community to preserve our water and make sure it lasts not 100 years, maybe we can stretch it to 150 years with artificial lawn turf instead of grass. believe it's over a 10-year span. I used to work in turf for a few years. Over a 10-year span, the money that you spend on the turf, you've already saved in water payments. So not just the money on the water, but you're saving that water resource. The toilets. The low-flow toilets aren't like they used to be. You could flush golf balls down now is how they advertise them. So we're not going to have any issues using a low flow versus the old school low flows that nobody wanted. There was a King of the Hill episode about the low flows. Working with the developments, the new developments, and even smaller communities about desert landscapes, the different water features we could put in the house. I don't want to say low flow and make you have to use a low flow shower head or faucet, but they do have different ways. There's a feature that you see it's in some communities where instead of turning on the faucet with a handle and it runs, there's an attachment where the water comes out of the spigot that you hit it and the water comes out right then, and as soon as you don't need it, it's off. So I think it's huge that we educate each other, educate the community, and different things that we can do as individuals to help preserve our water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callan. Mr. Cross, same question.
Yeah, our water supply right now is really good, but that's right now. We're, like Robert said, we're only using roughly a quarter of what's available to us. However, water's a finite resource. We don't have it forever. Need to come up with alternative sources. On a state level, the state has talked about putting in desalination plants down in the Gulf of California. That works good down there, but it's very difficult to pump that water up a hill up to Phoenix. So by doing that, that water would be used for that area, thus allowing more Colorado River water to come to us. If we could work with the federal government and get a lot of desalination plants put in along the California coast, that would free up more Colorado River water for us and for other western states that utilize it. There's talk about possibly bringing in a water line from the Mississippi River. The information on that from the Corporation Commission was somewhere in the neighborhood of $35 million a mile. Yeah, outrageously expensive. But if you were to bring something like that in, it'd be a permanent water source for forever and ever. Some of the things that the new development down south of the city, they're conserving water by capturing all the rainwater runoff. They're putting in big cisterns underground. They'll reuse all that water for watering all the common areas, all the desert landscaping, which obviously doesn't use a lot of water, but they can use some of that water also for what little turf they'll be putting in. So there's a lot of different unique ways we can conserve water and capture new water sources.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Mary Ann hates it when I do this, but I'm going to go off a script for a minute, talking water and talking some of the different ideas that was just brought up just now. So in the SRP watershed, you look at the Salt River flowing down from Roosevelt to Apache to Canyon to Saguaro and then down the Salt, and it's our lifeline right here in the East Valley. But then you look at the Verde watershed, and we've got Bartlett Dam and Horseshoe, and SRP's talking about raising Bartlett Dam to create, I forget how many more millions of acre-feet of water in storage for us here in the East Valley in Apache Junction. So knowing that that's a big ask and that's being worked on currently, where do you stand? Would you be a supporter of raising Bartlett Dam to increase our watershed and maybe some of the fees and things that'll be associated with that to get that built, or do you have other different ideas that you would propose in that space? I think we started with Mr. Solar last time, so Mr. Schroeder, we'll let you lead off on this one.
I believe they're raising that dam because the calcium level at the bottom of it has risen so high that they're running out of room. But yeah, I mean, I would be supportive of finding new avenues of water out here to the East Valley. I don't see why not. And in fact, I believe we were approached as a council for the funding, to help contribute to the funding of this dam. And the presentation they had given us was very informative. It was very optimistic. It was a great idea. But I will say I do believe that dam is primarily being raised because of the calcium level at the bottom of the lake.
So, and thank you, Mr. Schroeder, and I hate to put SRP on the spot, but if that dam was raised to the level that SRP is looking at, how many more millions of acre feet will that create in storage? And a rough number is fine. Okay, but raising it is going to create more storage and not just dig out what's there. I mean, it'll do both.
There is sedimentation at Horseshoe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're going down the stream and raising Bartlett.
To Bartlett.
That's what we're requesting, so that we recover that storage capacity
Yep.
that we lost because of sedimentation.
Uh-huh.
But by raising it the proposed height, I know that we would be recovering plus some more
Okay.
of storage.
Okay.
So
We'll look to you to get back with that number. So, okay.
I'll check that later.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Callan.
So you're asking if I would be in support of,
Of raising the dam to create more acre feet off the Verde River.
well, we definitely need water. I don't know how much of the Verde water we get over here. I know that you can go get in it if you go down to Salt River. There's a cool little spot where the two rivers combine. I would say that as a city, I don't think that we should fund it. I think that as, obviously at the end of the day, it's a business. They're a water business. They're making money off it. They should pay for it, and as a business, they're gonna do what they have to do to recover their fees. I don't think that as a city, we should all have to pay for it unless we held some sort of public forum like this and we could all talk and come to some sort of agreement if we wanted to do that. That's tough, because this is all new to me, so that's a good question. You got me off the cuff.
No, fair
But,
enough.
yeah, I would not personally say, let's pay for it. I would say, let them do what they have to do, talk to the communities, and then go from there.
Okay.
I'm not in, we all have to pay all these bills, especially in this time. We know that tough times are here, and they're gonna be here probably for a little bit financially, and whether we're raising rates on water or this, that's gonna hurt us all and in the household.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Callan. Mr. Cross.
Yeah, as I stated earlier, we need to come up with all kinds of water sources, and raising a dam to create more storage capacity is a great idea. As SRP alluded to, the bottom of the lake is filling up with sediment, and in order to compensate for that, you raise the dam up, kind of how they've had to raise the dam up at Roosevelt. I do an inspection at the Roosevelt Dam and Mormon Flat Dam and Horse Mesa Dam on a regular basis with the work I do. And it's a really unique process how they pump water through the turbines. During the day, they let water flow through the turbines, and at night, they pump the water back up from each lake to all the way back up into the Roosevelt watershed or into Roosevelt Lake, and then start the process over again the next morning, because it's cheaper to pump water at night versus during the day. That being said, having more capacity, and most likely, all of us will pay for it, whether it be through our SRP bills being raised slightly, or whether, on a statewide basis, because that water's gonna be provided to anybody that, or not water necessarily, but the power is provided to, all SRP customers. So they're not asking us as Apache Junction to pay for it all solely. They're talking about each community paying a small share, and everybody benefits from it.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Mr. Solar.
I agree with my compadre here. Bottom line is we need to look at every alternative to water there is, and if raising the dam gets us more water, that's a good thing. I don't want taxpayers' money going to it, because once they do that, they will bill everybody in the state. Everybody in the state's going to have to take a little piece of the pie on this, probably. So it's not going to be the Apache Junction people footing the bill for the Bartlett buildup. But I do believe we ought to look into that and support it as a city, and give more support, knowing that we need the water. I also agree with them, but all the other alternatives with all the new technology, let's make our desert environment water our houses water-friendly. Make sure that we do everything we can to conserve water now, so we have it have it later. And that would be part of the plan, would be Bartlett Lake being raised to give us a little more water.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Mary Ann, I'll get back on script now, so. All right, Mr. Callen, I believe we'll start this question with you. We led off with Mr. Schroeder on my extra question in there. So, all right, let's see. The city has a Health and Human Services Commission that is responsible for distributing $80,000 to various local nonprofits. What are your thoughts on, one, the way the money is distributed, and two, what other duties should the commission take on?
The Health and Human Service Commission?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Well, this is pretty near and dear to me. I have a family member who has his own issues, and he's dealt with a lot of mental health, and that they deal with a lot of that with the Health and Human Services. I don't know exactly all where their money goes. Obviously, it's something that I'll have to look into when elected and figure more of that out. But I will say we do have great programs here in AJ with our Health and Human Services. We have the hot meals over here. We also have every Thursday, I think. And then also over here at the multi-generational center, they open it up for showers for people that need to come in and take showers. So that's pretty cool. When it comes to a lot of stuff too, I believe it's a lot of the community helping our neighbors out. Our churches have to get involved a lot with helping out those people. It's the community that's going to come together and be able to do what we need to do to help one another. Obviously, we have our government institutions there to do what they're going to do and what they're there for, but they can only do so much. We need the community to also be there and do what we can do to help out our neighbors.
Thank you, Mr. Callen. Mr. Cross, same question. Would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay. The city has a Health and Human Services Commission that is responsible for distributing $80,000 to various local nonprofits. What are your thoughts on, one, the way the money is distributed, and two, what other duties could the commission take on, if any?
Well, I'm in favor of the way the current distribution has occurred with the 80,000. They reach out to each of the groups that are on the list, and they have them put down like their request as to how much they would like to try and get donated. The city has been doing this $80,000 for the last numerous years, and that money has been going to a really good cause. I would like to see somehow we reach out to more corporate donations and try and increase that money through private sector donations versus taxpayers flipping the bill. It seems like a lot of times corporations tend to have a lot more money that they can donate and utilize to services that are greatly needed. You know, we do have a homeless situation here in AJ that a lot of people are hurting right now, especially with our super inflated inflation that we have. So as far as what are some of the other things that the commission can do, that would be it. Reaching out to find other sources, more sources, not just other sources, but more sources of revenue that will help out those in our community that are desperately needing help.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cross. Mr. Solar, same question.
I agree 100% with him. We need to reach out to our corporations and try to get more money for these worthy causes. The nonprofits really do help the city out. They help with all different types of programs. And one of the ones he just mentioned is one that we need to address in Apache Junction. That's the homeless. And I would like to see us have the Health and Human Services work with the police department and the city court. And I have an idea how to do this because this is what I did in Mesa. I came up and helped develop a homeless initiative plan over in Mesa. And I would like to do something like that. And that would be a big part of it, is to get that that help out to the homeless and try to get them off the street, and use not only the police department and the city court, but, you know, all the other nonprofits to help reach out to them, offer them resources, try to get them off the street, try to get them educated to all their options that they have, and get them into rehabs if they have drug or alcohol issues. And Health and Human Resource Services will be able to help do that. But we need to get up the money too. We need 80,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not a lot of money when you have a lot of issues like, you know, people with special needs, children, and, you know, the poverty level, people that are just barely hanging on that need help, that aren't homeless, your homeless populations. So we do have a lot of need to support that organization.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Mr. Schroeder, same question.
So, giving taxpayer dollars to nonprofit organizations is a hot topic all in itself. But here we are, and we do have a Health and Human Services, and overall, I feel like they did a pretty good job. I was disappointed in the last distribution. We have, you know, the Boys and Girls Club, great, Genesis, Food Bank, all those are great organizations to help out. Now, there was one item where the CDC, which is basically a nonprofit that goes around and cleans up properties, and make a difference day and things like that. They received more money than an abuse center. I feel like I was appalled when I saw that. An organization that fills up dumpsters received more funding than an abuse center. It was amazing to me. I feel like they need to really reconsider when they do next year. I feel like the Health and Human Services should probably go visit these places, talk to people, not just look at an application. I don't know how that funding got in there, but I feel like the next time it comes across this dais, if I'm still sitting on this dais, is if I see organizations like an abuse center or an alcohol center receiving less funding than a cleanup nonprofit, I will vote no on that every single time. And I feel like they really need to reevaluate on where they give their money. I think it needs to be a more personal funding, and it needs to go directly to help people in need in surviving in the heat, the food, abuse, all these things. It's not, it shouldn't be designed to help people clean up their yard. And that's where I stand on that.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. All right, I'm going to throw out a nice little softball question this time, see where you guys take it. Mr. Cross, I believe you are first this time. Let's see. Am I right? Yep, you're Mr. Cross. You get the softball coming at you. If elected to the city council, who would you consider your stakeholders, and how would you propose to represent them?
Obviously, my stakeholders are every single citizen here in the city of Apache Junction. I'm here to represent them, what they need, what they want, how can I help you type attitude. There's so often we see people get elected to a position. They do great for a year or so, but then it's all about trying to get reelected, or they just forget that they represent everybody, not just a select few. And we see all the time on Facebook a small minority of people barking and screaming about issues in town. But that's not everybody. That's only a small handful of people that, you know, I guess have nothing better to do than complain about how the city's going, versus coming out and lending a hand and getting up here or getting their hands dirty and working and volunteering for our city. And there's a lot of things we can do to make our city better, but you know, being up here and representing everybody is the key. I've kind of made the comments in some of my literature that, you know, I want to be the best person, the most approachable city council member out there. My phone number is very public. It's everywhere. If you want to talk to me, talk to me. I'm willing to help wherever I can. I love helping people, and I hope to be able to continue helping people.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Mr. Solar, same question.
Exactly what he said. I represent the citizens of Apache Junction. I plan on having an open door. My phone number's out there too. I've served the community over in Mesa for 33 years as a law enforcement officer. I'm not afraid to put my phone number out there for everybody to have. I am willing to come meet with you or you meet with me. He's absolutely right. There's extremes on either end. We got to take everybody should have a voice. Everybody should be heard, but then we have to err on the side of the majority, what's best for the majority of our residents. After we've talked to people and after we've got all the facts, then as council, we should err on the side of doing what's best for the majority of our residents. Because if you go for the extremes, sometimes it gets way out there and the majority really get hurt bad. So, but I represent the people. I'll be open and honest with you. I will, I believe in clarity of government, that it's open, honest, and I'm open to. So I will meet and have meetings with anybody that wants to meet with me. And hopefully, if I get elected council, we can move this city forward and have a lot of people's input in how we do that. Because it all is about representing the people in their input, not mine.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Mr. Schroeder, same question.
Yeah, could you repeat it? I mean, just for the sake of...
If elected to the city council, who would you consider your stakeholders, and how would you propose to represent them?
Well, there really is just one answer for that. Of course, the stakeholders would be the citizens, the businesses, families, my family. I would probably own most of the stock in my own, because I believe that you need to be an approachable person, and I believe I am an approachable person. I enjoy a lot. I like doing a lot of things, just like a regular guy. I mean, I golf, I play softball. I mean, I'm just one of you guys. I just go out there, I get the information, I make decisions based on the information that I read to the best of my ability. So everything I do is for the people of the city, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I really enjoy serving this city, and I would see that stock going up here come August. So, the constituents, are my shareholders.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Mr. Callen, same question.
Ditto.
Shareholders here in the room, shareholders watching through that, there, sitting here, the residents of AJ, the businesses in AJ. The purpose of city government is to help facilitate business in the community and to make sure that the residents' voices are heard. I'm a normal guy. I'm pretty approachable. Anybody has to talk about anything, has any concerns, what they want to do, I'm just like all them. We're all pretty similar in that aspect of, hey, let's have a chat. What can we do? What do you want to see happen in the city? Like I said, I've talked to a lot of people over the last 6-7 months, knocking on doors, essentially playing defense because I'm coming to your house. And the biggest concern that I've heard from people is where are we headed as a city and what are we going to turn into? And it's important that everybody gets involved and that we reach out to those people that feel like their voices aren't being heard because they don't understand, they might not realize how it affects them or what they can do to be heard. We need to make a better effort in hearing those people as well, not just the ones that show up. It's hard to do, obviously, not just hear the ones that show up every 2 weeks. It's important that we try to communicate better with our fellow residents, whether it's through the newspaper, through the social media apps, whatever they do now, or just being on the street and talking to people. I'm here to represent the city of AJ. I love AJ. I plan on being here my whole life. I bleed black and gold, which was the high school colors, and I'm here for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callen. All right, on to the next question, and I believe we'll lead off with Mr. Solar on this question. Mr. Solar, how do you feel about the transportation options currently available in our city? Can all our residents affordably get where they need to go? It's a big, several-part question here, so stick with me. If not, what will you do to improve transportation in our city, and what do you suggest for the funding of efficient transportation in our city?
That's a good question, because I've been talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people don't want transportation in our city. They see that as bringing in a lot of problems, and it can. I mean, I have transportation in the city I work in, and a lot of problems are because of that. But we still need to be able to help our people that need to get to transportation, like over to the light rail or wherever. I believe we can do that. I think we can reach out to some of these van industries that can bring vans over and pick people up at certain places at certain times and take them to where they need to go, kind of like we have for the senior citizens that need transportation. They can call and get transportation. I don't know if I'd have to see all the facts and see how it's going to affect us to bring any type of mass transit into this city. There are a lot of issues and a lot of concerns I have with mass transit coming to the city of Apache Junction, because I deal with it on a daily basis. But I do believe there are alternatives out there to get people transportation, and the city can work on plans with other entities to get that type of transportation. So that's something I'd be willing to look at. But when it comes to mass transit, I'm very leery. I'd have to see all the facts, and I'd have to have the people's opinion on that, because I can tell you, most people, one of the things they say is, I don't want mass transit in Apache Junction.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Mr. Schroeder.
So I've been getting mixed opinions on it. Bottom line, mass transit is just unsustainable here. We simply just can't afford it. I mean, it's bottom line. Now, however, as we grow down to the south, as we grow, I mean, you guys been around the city. There's builds going up everywhere. As population grows, our budget grows through the state. Now, not to say 10 years down the road, we're in a position where we could bring in a bus system. That's highly plausible if you're starting to look at 70, 80,000 strong. And in the season, you're looking at over 100,000 strong when the snowbirds come back into town. For now, I feel like I agree with Brian. I feel like there could be some sort of transportation program. I don't know if it would be, it would have to have some regulations. You know, I wouldn't want my daughter to say she wants to run up to Dutch Bros to give me a ride. You know what I mean? You would have to really qualify in a way of disability, or you need to get to work in a way if you don't have a car. But I think that's a can of worms we just don't want to get into right now. I really do. So in my opinion, I don't think transportation would be something that would be high on my list to try to push through the city.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Mr. Callen, same question.
I'm not quite sure if we're large enough of a city to have a public transportation system, but we could look at something like we talked about, like Solar talked about, the senior citizens can do the ride sharing and the vans. Maybe we can come up with some programs for that to help facilitate for people to get to the main busway over there off of Power Road in McDowell, and Power Road in the 60, so they can get to where they need to go if they do not have transportation. I would be in favor of maybe looking at something just for a local reason here in town, maybe some sort of trolley through the downtown, since our downtown as it is now is not really a walkable downtown. So it would be nice to have some sort of trolley fare, whether it's free on the weekends for shoppers and residents that want to explore the city. That just takes you around the downtown corridor to the local shops and businesses. That would be something that would be interesting to look at. But when it comes to having like a mass transit here in town, I don't think that we're there yet. Plus, as Brian had said, what that could bring, and with his experience, what he's seen, a lot of people are concerned with what that could bring to the city. And obviously, I don't think our budget is there to incorporate something like that into the city.
Thank you, Mr. Callen. Mr. Cross.
Yeah, right now, AJ obviously cannot afford any kind of a transportation. They looked into it a few years ago, even was there was a I believe a $300,000 grant that was available possibly to bring in transportation. And that was in the form of an express bus going to and from Mesa. And financially, it wouldn't work. And if you go anywhere where the buses run now, or the light rail down through Tempe, it's empty. On rush hour, I see that thing, it's maybe 25% full. It just does not get used a lot. Now, would I be in favor of an express bus run from here to Mesa to the main hub at Power? If it can be self-sustaining and it pays for itself through the fares that it collects, yeah. But if we're talking only 3-4 people a day utilizing it, that's not very efficient and that's not very cost effective. And you'd probably be better off taking the hundreds of thousands of dollars you're using to bus, a handful of people and give them Uber vouchers or something to get from point A to point B. And you'd probably be saving money doing something like that. So, I mean, obviously that's not a great answer, but it's an idea. There's got to be some way. I have had people say, why can't we get a bus system out here to get us into Mesa or get us into Tempe? Well, why'd you move out here if you didn't have transportation, right? You don't come to a city and say, hey, I demand bus service. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. And just a reminder to the audience, we're being recorded live, so we can keep it down just a little bit, please. Mr. Schroeder, first question is for you this time. In April, the City Council adopted an updated economic development strategic plan. 2 of the 4 strategic priorities include business recruitment, expansion, and workforce development. How do you plan to support the existing business base while working to attract new businesses and industry in the target sectors, as well as supporting small business entrepreneurs?
Can you repeat that one more time?
That's a long one, and most of it's just the buildup. The final questions are, I'll read all of it for you. In April, the City Council adopted an updated economic development strategic plan. 2 of the 4 strategic priorities included business recruitment, expansion, and workforce development. Okay? How do you plan to support the existing business base while working to attract new businesses and industry in the target sectors?
Well, this all, we always will support the existing business base. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, if you're talking about all these new businesses coming in with their nice buildings and their curb appeal, and they're attracting all the employees, and they're getting all the business, and how would we support the existing businesses to survive? Well, I would just say, curb appeal, customer service, make your business a place that people want to go to, and then people will go to it, whether or not it's I had lunch at Toast today. It's absolutely delicious. Doesn't mean that if an Applebee's rolled up with the fancy chandeliers and the full bar that I would go there instead, because I happen to love the food over there at Toast. And I think a lot of it has to do with the business themselves. I mean, we as a city can do what we can to support the businesses. But if we were to come in there and say, well, you need to paint your business, well, now we're being difficult and unfriendly, business unfriendly. So that wouldn't work. So when it comes to small businesses, there's no difference between you and the corporation of the people they have hired to run their business. It's all about how you promote your business and how you treat your customers and the type of product that you can produce in your business. I would support anything that comes into town as far as business-wise goes, but if you want to compete with some of the corporations, it really, if you go in there and the people are good, the food is good, or the merchandise is fairly priced, you'll do just fine. I don't think anybody would have a problem.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Mr. Callen?
I'll reiterate again, shop local, mom and pa's. That's Apache Junction, and it always has been since, at least since I was a kid and generations before me. And it's important that we try to maintain that as much as we can. Obviously, there's gonna be bigger businesses that are gonna wanna come in, and we're gonna have to foster those and figure out where to put them and what to do with them. But I propose that we try to keep the downtown area ma and pa, and small business shops, whether they're antique shops, jewelry shops, restaurants, bars, just a nice little downtown area run essentially by the people of the city, with their stake in owning the businesses there. And we have to do what we can to make it easy for the ma and pa's to be able to open, especially in these older buildings where we have problems. You know, the ADA problems, or the pipe problems, or some of the septic problems. We have to figure out ways to where we can maybe get them grants, or forego some of their dues up front and put those off and pay them off throughout time. Like I said, I'm a local guy, and I'm huge into the small town. You know, the AJ, try to retain what we can as a city. And I think the biggest way we can do that with the businesses is support one another in our small ma and pa's, and try to keep, obviously, we're gonna have chains, they're gonna come. We got the Popeyes now, we got the Panda Express now, but I think it's important that we try to limit those big chains in where we put them within the city. And I think we should make our downtown a local, so that does the most help and benefit to the people of AJ, because it's essentially putting money in each one of our pockets, not just through taxes, but to our neighbors for their dinner and for their mortgage payment and for their kids' futures.
Thank you, Mr. Callen. Mr. Cross?
Yeah, as we know, the small business owners, the small businesses as a whole are the backbone of our entire country, in essence. One of the things I've noticed over the last few years, our Apache Junction High School has gotten better and better with their grades, gotten better and better with their accolades as far as being a more accredited school. That's one of the things that businesses look for, is what is the workforce coming up the ranks? Are we gonna have educated people that can help us do our business? And so when a bigger corporation is looking at an industrial area and they're looking for a workforce, that's some of the things that they look at. And right now, our school system is doing pretty darn good. They're improving every year, and it's wonderful to see. But, you know, our small businesses, the strategic plan spelled out a lot of different things. And, you know, promoting our small businesses and business altogether was one of the key topics. So we need to work with that strategic plan and put it into practice, and continue, you know, searching out and looking for, you know, businesses to come here, as long as we're a business-friendly government. You know, those places will come to us. As our population grows, they'll come to us. And I think we have a great opportunity to have a lot of good mom and pop shops, kind of like Ari was stating, in our downtown core area. It'd be great to see a lot of small shops, not name brand big entities. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Mr. Solar?
I read the strategic plan. It's a very well-written document, and it covers almost everything we've talked about tonight. The zones, there's 3 zones along the trail in there, and one of them is the middle section, which is the western theme. And the city needs to work with the businesses and help them be able to rejuvenate their properties, any abandoned properties or properties that aren't filled, try to get them filled. Mom and pops are at my heart. I do not like big box retailers. But as for businesses, we're going to support the small businesses, and we're going to try to find breaks for them and try to find ways to help them become better and make their places better, if it means having to redo their plumbing, or if it means redoing their parking lot or something like that. I would love to work on projects like that for the small businesses and the small business owners. For the big businesses that are going to look for the industrial areas, We have a golden opportunity. We have a good high school that's getting better. We have a college campus just down the street. And the strategic plan says this. I want to work with them to find out what type of businesses we can bring in here and what type of training they have. And let's get that training to our residents so they can get those jobs when they come in, whether it's a warehouse or maybe electric car plant or whatever. There's a lot of growth, and the 24 is an ideal place in that area because Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport's right there, and it's going to be a major hub for stuff like all that avionics. So if we can work with the bigger businesses, tell them, hey, we'll get college classes to teach our people and get you that experience. So I want to reach out to businesses that really want to come here and try to help them while working really hard on our local businesses and keeping our downtown a small western feel. And that's going through different things with the city and zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Mr. Schroeder,
I'd like a rebuttal a little bit.
please proceed.
I speak this from experience, having owned a business here in Apache Junction. Whether you're Lucky Bob's Liquor or Bevmo, if you provide a good service, good customer service, you provide a good product, and you provide a pleasant visit to your establishment, you will survive and you will prosper. And there's nothing anybody up here can do to help you. This is something you have to do for your business to survive. It doesn't matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Mr. Solar, 1 minute rebuttal.
I think we can reach out to our small business communities and take care of that. But I want to address getting good paying jobs, high paying jobs for our residents, for any type of industrial complexes or businesses that come to our city. And you got to do that through education. And that's going to be a key part, working with our high school to get our students into the college to learn those trade skills to be able to have those high-paid jobs. And I really want to work hard on that for whatever the community decides they want to bring in. Let's get it, and let's get it done right.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Well, believe it or not, we are at the end. And we're done with our question and answers here. Need to start doing the wrap-up. So I can just tell you before we do the closing statements, Apache Junction voters have some tough choices coming up. We've got a very, very bright group of candidates here that understand the issues and understand what they want to see and where they want the city to go. So it's going to be a tough choice for the voters coming up, I can tell you that right now. So in reverse order, we are going to start with Mr. Solar for 1 minute closing statements, please. Mr. Solar.
Again, I'm running for city council because I think I can really help guide and direct the city of Apache Junction, not only in the growth that's coming and make sure it's calculated and controlled, and we know exactly what we're bringing in and how it fits into our community, but also our small business and entrepreneurships. I really want to support them and get them what they need so they can succeed. Work with the city and city management to ensure we're going in the right place. And I really believe in strong law enforcement, and that comes through highly trained professionals, and I want to work to keep our employees. We have great employees. Let's not train them and have them go somewhere else. Let's do things there's other things other than just money and benefits. We can do incentive programs and other things to keep our employees here at Apache Junction so they can help our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Solar. Mr. Cross, your closing statement, please.
Yeah. Well, I feel or hope that I've earned your vote. In essence, one of the things I believe I have the experience and the knowledge to move our city forward, to protect our horse community, to take and get our downtown a theme that is basically conducive to everybody's dreams and hopes. And we don't want to see our downtown become a downtown Tempe or downtown Scottsdale. We want to keep it a nice small community that we've all grown to love. And we are Apache Junction, and I want to help lead us and keep us what we've all come and moved here for. You know, we have a great community, and I just really enjoy working for it and working with it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Mr. Callen, your closing statement, please.
Well, I hope everybody out there has as much fun as we did up here tonight. You got to learn a little bit about us. If there's one thing that you've probably seen on my theme about myself is I'm super passionate about Apache Junction, and I want to make sure that we can, it's a dying breed out there, but I want to make sure that we can control and keep our small town feel, and not implode into a giant city like they've done down to the south. You just become a mega city packed in. It's important to me that we support one another as a community, shop local, small businesses, make sure our downtown is beautiful, locally owned essentially by one another here in this room, and not just the people in this room, but in this community, and make sure that AJ stays great, stays the town that we've always loved for the longtime residents and the reason why people have moved here. You know, let's continue being a great small town and control the growth. Like Mr. Mayor Chip said, we want to control the growth and not let it control us.
Thank you, Mr. Callen. Mr. Schroeder, your closing statement, please.
I would like to take this time, I want to thank Brian, Daryl, and Ari, the moderator, the chamber, SRP, Southwest Gas. Forums are very important when it comes to elections. People get to know the people that they're going to vote to represent them. And that's what this is really about. This is about you guys. We're up here, you know, we have these questions being answered, and we try our best to give the most educated answer we can give you. But at the end of the day, you guys are the ones that we should all be thanking. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank every single one of you, TV land and in here, for taking the time to listen to our forum, and hopefully you've learned a lot about us and hopefully made some choices for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. And audience and folks, thank you for coming tonight, and thank you again to SRP and Southwest Gas for sponsoring, for the Apache Junction Chamber for their sponsorship of this event. Please go out and make sure you vote on August 2nd. Cast your vote for the candidate that you've researched and you know about, and make that educated vote, and in doing so, you will make the community stronger and better. And with that, we are done.
Mail-in ballots, July 6th.
Daryl? Yes.
Daryl? Yes, mail-in ballots,
Would you
July
mind
6th.
gaveling?
Thank you.
We are adjourned.
We didn't get the Marlboro Man on there, though.